everyone, and welcome back to the PSVR Chat Show. This episode, we are covering The Curious Tale of the Stolen Pets by Fast Travel Games. I'm your host, Noctauto, and with me today is our guest, Andreas Juliusson, Marketing and Communications Manager of Fast Travel Games. Other guest we have here today is Jason the Livinator, aka the Handi-Man Can VR. Cannon, also known as PSVR Underground. Velp, who was another one of our builders who was working on animations for this map. HBL, who is helping us record for today. And ThatGuyIsWill, who is also known as ThatGuyIsWill VR. And we also had another guest that couldn't make it today, Just Incredible VR. He also helped out with the map as well. So thank you to him. Anyway, so Andreas, how's your day going so far? Pretty good?
Yeah, it's good. It's Saturday, of course. It doesn't mean that I don't work, because we have a game upcoming now in just less than 2 weeks. So it's a stressful time. Yeah, it's stressful, but I love every second of it. So I'm good. Thanks.
Yeah, a lot of people are very excited for this as well. So can you give us like a breakdown of what the game is about? The Curious Tale of the Stolen Pets?
Sure. So it was actually our senior animator, James Hunt, at the studio who came to us with an idea of a game last year before Christmas about having small miniature worlds in front of you in VR that would be, filled with details and interactions that you can just engage with and play with, basically. So that's how the idea started, and we felt that it hadn't been done in VR before, and there was something really unique and interesting with that concept, especially in VR where you could actually lean in, move around, look underneath, etc. So from that idea, we started to create a game that would eventually become, what we hoped for at least, accessible for everyone. It's a light puzzle adventure, meaning that you have different diorama worlds, these miniature worlds, where you solve some puzzles by interacting with all the elements, like chain puzzles and all that. And your mission is to find hidden pets in the game. And there's also sort of a story attached to it about your childhood memories and the adventures that you took with your grandfather when he was alive, and your sister who you came to fell out with. So there's this sort of nostalgic, quite emotional narrative as well to the game.
Yeah, I can understand that. We just sometimes forget who we once were when we were children, spending time with our families and all that. And when we grow up, we work and all that, it gets pushed aside. And, the adventures we used to have, So it's like...
Exactly. I think, if you play our game to the very end and find all the animals, you'll actually come to realize some things about yourself that you forgot decades ago. So there's there's a sort of a treasure at the end of the rainbow, so to speak, in this game as well.
Yeah. So, Andreas, what kind of got you into VR? Why VR? I know you said like the up-down looking around, it's very interesting, but like personally, why did you go for VR other than just 2D platformers or anything like that?
Yeah, I think one of the reasons personally is that I, in 2017, before I joined Fast Travel Games and started this role in VR, I had been in the flat screen or traditional gaming industry for 13 years or so. I'd been around on different studios like DICE, EA, Bandai Namco, Vivendi Games before they became Activision Blizzard. So I had done quite a long journey in traditional video gaming, doing marketing, basic communications wherever I went. So I kind of got a sense of doing something new. And while I was at DICE, I got to try the first Oculus Rift dev kit in a kind of a mech warrior game that I got to fly over a city in VR for the first time I tried it. And it was just an amazing experience. It was really rough though. But I saw so much potential in creating emotions and immersion that you couldn't really do in a traditional game. And the more I tried VR on upcoming events from that point, I tried, the shark cage thing in Ocean Descent in PlayStation VR before it came out on the market. And I was just blown away by it. I couldn't even stay for the shark to attack me because I was so immersed in that experience. So, and I'm also kind of a romantic guy, I think. I really, really like games from an emotional standpoint. I love horror games and fantasy games that can really create emotions inside me, and VR did that to a whole new level for me. So I kind of, the insights grew on me that I felt I had to go into this industry and try to apply all of these sort of expertise that I had gathered in the traditional gaming industry and use it for this new and upcoming industry that was VR gaming. So that's how it started, really. And then, I applied for this job, of course. Fast travel. I knew some of the guys at the company at that time. And it all turned out pretty good. So I've been here now for 2 years.
Yeah, it's so interesting going from 2D to 3D. When I had my first experience, which was Tilt Brush by Google, I've always been a digital 2D artist. Just drawing in that 3D environment is just it's just a loss of words. Just getting that feeling of motion, being free with drawing wherever, it's crazy. So I really understand where you're getting at. All right, so we're going to take it over to our guests for a little bit for some questions. Jason, I believe you have the first question.
Yeah, I know you had mentioned accessibility for everyone in the game. Can you just elaborate on that a little more? And yeah, that's exactly high five on that. I agree.
Yeah, no, it is really one of the key elements, I think, when we started to create The Curious Tale. At that point, of course, we had already created our first game, Apex Construct. And since 2016, when VR gaming became a thing in people's homes, we kind of saw that more and more games added complexity to their experiences. So for Apex Construct, for example, there's over 30 different settings menu options just to cater for people feeling sick when they move around, or they want to use snap or smooth turning. There's HMD driven locomotion and all that, which is, as it needs to be. But it also, at some point we felt like we can't keep adding features to a game just to cater for everyone's preferences. We have to find a way to make a game that anyone can play without going into the settings menu even, or without, experiencing a long tutorial just to learn how to move. So that's one of the key features with The Curious Tale, is to have that game that is really accessible. Like, if you start a game, you should be able to start playing just using your intuition, basically. There's no need to go into the tutorial menu or a settings menu. If you want to slide the volume up and down, or you want to change subtitles to different languages, you can do that. But other than that, you don't even need to touch the settings menu. You should basically just go into the game, start playing by using your intuition, and have fun immediately. That was one of our missions with the game, and it's very different from what we did with Apex Construct. I'm not saying this, it's for the better or worse, but this is the kind of game that we wanted to make for anyone really, regardless of age or gaming preferences.
That's awesome. Taking everybody in consideration, it's a beautiful thing.
Yeah,
I wish more people would do the same thing like that. But that's really great that you guys are doing that as well, and very happy to see that they're so excited about it on this side.
Yeah, I see that as well.
They're high-fiving the whole time when you're talking about it. It was good.
That's no, but it is. I think that VR is slowly becoming more accessible to people. We're seeing, especially maybe on the PC side, you see, we're getting rid of external cameras, and we're getting rid of power units to power your headsets. And there are rumors about PlayStation VR 2, of course. Will it be wireless, or what will it do to increase accessibility and ease of use? And I think that's the way that VR has to go, similar to smartphones or in a Nintendo Switch, for example. It has to become easier to have fun in VR, compared to what it was in 2016, 17, 18. And we're getting there, and I think we can do our part by making games that are accessible.
Yeah, that's appreciate you for doing that, and keep up the good work. You're awesome.
Oh yeah, thanks.
All right, for our next question, we have Cannon, or PSVR Underground, that would like to say some things. Take it away, Cannon.
Hey, Andreas, Thank you for joining us today, of course. We're all really excited for Curious Tale Stolen Pets, and, lots of us are big fans of Apex Construct as well. So obviously we know this has you in like a godlike point of view. I was a little bit curious about the controls, like what peripherals will be supported, and as well as like the gameplay. Does it play like a platformer, and are there going to be like other worlds to explore? Could you just tell us a little bit about the control schemes?
Sure. So for PlayStation VR specifically, you can play the game with the DualShock or 1 or 2 Move controllers. So it's basically up to you to decide. I think it's pretty much the same experience regardless. If you use the Move controllers, of course, you can grab and spin the world in a maybe a little more natural fashion, so to speak, just by grabbing it and pulling your hand. You can do that with the DualShock as well, but it feels a little bit more natural on Move, of course. But other than that, we, going back to the accessibility, we really wanted all the players to be able to play this game. Apex Construct was only Move controllers because you had a bow and shield and all that, and the interaction model where you can grab things and throw things. But this game is more of an immersive experience, I think, from a visual and sound standpoint as well. That the controllers are there, but it's also a much more comprehensive experience for all your senses.
So it does sound like you're not going to be having direct control over these creatures in these environments, that you're going to have some sort of interactivity with them?
Exactly. So it's not a platformer per se. You don't control a character. What you do is interact with the elements in the world. So in the first level that you also see in the trailer, for example, there is a teapot, and you can grab that teapot and try to pour water on things in the world, and some things might happen. There's a candle, you can actually extend the light on it if you pour water on it. And there's a teacup next to the tea kettle. Maybe you can try to pour water in there and see what happens. And by doing these sort of experimental interactions in the game, you trigger actions from the world, basically. And eventually you will find an animal by doing so. And some of them are chained in like a puzzle sequence that you need to solve. Some of them are more direct, like there's a chest in the first level which has 3 dark buttons on them. Maybe you can find buttons in the world to press that opens that chest, for example. So you don't control the characters. There are characters, of course. You have the sisters moving around in the levels. You have the grandfather narrating the story to you and praising you for finding the animals and telling you what you're doing and what you shouldn't be doing, etc. But then it's more you as a sort of the god who can spin the world. You can look underneath it. You can find the hidden allowance money, which is the coins in the game, optional things, or just have fun with the world. Basically, you can stay in the world how long you like. Basically, there's no rush or time limits. You can decide to find all of the animals or some of them, and then in between the worlds, you go to your bedroom hub, where you can see your animal collection and you can choose which world to proceed to next. So that's the kind of game it is, really. It's a meditative light puzzler that is just a wonderful joy to experience from my very unbiased opinion.
It sounds great. It sounds like there's lots of really cool secrets to uncover for sure.
Yeah, it is. And we spent a lot of time with the interaction model. So basically everything in the levels you can interact with it. If you see some blueberries, you can, push the blueberries and they fall to the ground, and you can shake the tree and you can make leaves fall to the ground. It's basically just playground, really, that you can treat as a puzzle game, or you can treat more of a, interactive tale, so to speak, and let the narrative take you further into the game and to the conclusion. Well, so the narrative is also an integral part of the experience. It's not just the worlds. It's actually listening to your grandfather and learning about your past and the relationship with your sister as well. So, we're super proud of it.
Sounds great.
All right, for our next person that has a question, we have ThatGuyIsWill VR, or in the game it's ThatGuyIsWill. Take it away, Will.
Or that guy has a question.
Yeah,
I was wondering if the different environments and worlds in the game have stories behind them.
Yeah, it's that's an interesting question. There's each world that you visit has a link to your past. You used to create imaginative adventures with your grandfather. If that means that you just fantasized about, going to the historic world, for example, where there's sort of dinosaurs, not really giving that much details. But each world, you start in the summer cottage. That's the name of the first world, basically. It is really the summer cottage that you used to spend your summers with your grandfather and your sister and your grandmother when she was alive as well. Second world is called Winter Vacation, which is more like this snowy, cold. Well, not cold because it's very inviting and warm from that sense, but it's snowing and it's a little darker. And you used to go skiing there with your grandparents, for example. So I don't want to reveal too much details of each world, but they all have a connection to your past and maybe also a reason as to why the relationship with your sister became so broken back in the days. But as you play the game through the worlds, you get to learn more and more about your relationship. And as I mentioned before, there's a conclusion at the end as well for anyone who finds all the animals.
Yeah, that sounds awesome.
There you go.
Thank you.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, we think so. I mean, the idea was to create a world where your interaction triggers your narrative things. So if you do something in the winter world, if you find an animal or, there's, maybe you've seen in the trailer, you have this hairdryer we can use to melt snow in the world, for example. By doing so, you might trigger your grandfather to talk about your past and something that happened in that spot, for example. So the narrative is very much tied to the interactions in each world and can reveal more about the worlds as well when you play them. So yeah, I really can't wait for you guys and everyone else to buy this.
Okay, let's bring him back to Jason. He has another question. Take it away, Jason.
I think I'd heard that you guys are having pro enhancements for the game. What are the enhancements that you guys are doing for the pro people out there?
Yeah, we are. We're doing some slight enhancements. We have some post effects and high resolution for Pro, which basically takes that version up to the PC counterpart in terms of visual fidelity. So that's what we're doing. But it really is a game that I think looks amazing on a standard PS4 as well. So the fact that we have these miniature worlds to play with, it means we can pack all the interactions and all the level of details and the color and the animations into a very contained area. It just boosts the sense of immersion and sense of wonder, I think, all this graphical fidelity and world. So, but yeah, there are some enhancements for PS4 Pro players as well.
That's awesome. Yeah, everybody always loves that.
We
they will wait on games to play it like that, and I know you guys are doing it right off the bat. So that's the.
Okay, we're bringing it back to Cannon for another question.
So I just got a question about the difficulty of the puzzles of the game. Is there like a variety of difficulty to them? Are there some that are harder than others, or can you just tell us like the general, gameplay difficulty?
Sure. So the first level that we brought to Gamescom in Germany this summer, the demo, the first level, has 3 animals to find. And that level itself, I think, showcases the different type of puzzles you find in the game. Like, one of the animals are simply just hidden in a bush. So if you see the signs, you can see there's a little dog bowl, and you can see some footprints in the ground. If you follow those visual hints, you can find the animal. That's one kind of puzzle. The other one is the chest that I mentioned before with the rabbit inside. You can probably understand by looking at it that it can be opened by triggering 3 things in the world. And then the third puzzle in that first level is a chain puzzle where you have to solve different levels in the puzzle to actually find the animal in the end. So, and there are quite a few people who actually get stuck on that puzzle, because you should not treat this as a time limit, stressful puzzle hardcore game. Some people who play the game, they spin the world like super fast. They are really like passionate when they play it, and then try to be quick about the puzzles, while the way to solve them is just to soak in the world, look at the hints, because we have hints in the world. There are some signs placed here and there. There are maybe some leaves are in different colors than the trees, for example. So if you take your time and then just digest the hints that we place in front of you, you can solve the puzzles. Then, of course, the puzzles do get a little bit harder the longer you get into the game. I think the prehistoric world is probably the one that I got stuck on the most when I played the game. I probably played that world for an hour, and I still needed help to find 2 of the animals. I'm half stupid though, so that's not a measurement of difficulty in the game. But it's really interesting to see, like, some people get semi-stuck on some puzzles. But once you understand what the game is about, they have an easier time to understand the nature of the puzzles in the game. So, but not to say that all puzzles are easy. Some animals are quite obvious how to find and sort of unlock. Some are not that obvious, that requires you to really play around and try different things and see what actually triggers what effect does this trigger, and what happens if I do this. Oh, there's a waterfall over here, what if I do this? And then so we're really trying to spur on your sort of curiosity in the game. We want players to be curious and experimental. So it's never going to be considered a hardcore puzzle game. It's more of an interactive tale with some puzzle elements to it, but it does require you to be creative and really pay attention to the details.
Well, it's excellent. It sounds like it has a nice variety and progression to it, and if people follow the hints, looks like they have a little help there as well, which is really important. So it sounds excellent. Thank you.
Okay, we're taking it to Will for another question.
Yeah, will there be any DLC added in the future?
We haven't. I mean, right now we are hell-bent on making a super polished quality title for launch, which is less than 2 weeks away. And since this is the first game in the curious potential future franchise, it's really hard to say. I would say it has all to do with how the game is being recognized. And, as boring as it might sound, we would love for it to sell. So that we actually have a reason to go back to it and make deals. Because unless you have an install base of people actually owning your game, playing your game, there's little reason to add content to it. But if it becomes the success that we think and hope it will be, we are definitely open to looking at a potential sequel. I know that James Hunt, the creative lead, has tons of ideas on what to add to the curious concept, so to speak. If that's DLC or if it's a proper sequel, it's a little early to tell. Or if it's merchandise, I don't know. I know that I had a T-shirt on me at Gamescom, like a quite expensive Curious Tale T-shirt, colorful T-shirt, and we got so many emails and messages on Twitter asking me to sell it to them. It's like, you haven't even tried our game yet, but we'll see. I can absolutely see this. I think it deserves more content in the future. I do. There's something fundamentally fantastic, I think, with this game and the concept of this game. It would be a shame to just release it and move on. So I'm really hoping we can do more content for it at some point. Yeah.
Yeah, we'll take as much content as we can get from Fast Travel. So buy the game, everyone.
Yeah, when you said merchandise, I was thinking when I'm looking at these animals, they're just so adorable. Our team did a great job with just the designs. They're so cute. I just want a plush of them,
Yeah, I want that.
I know. We actually have some polymer clay models of the animals in the office right now.
I saw that on Twitter.
Yeah, they're awesome. They're awesome. So, yeah. And I think the fact that people smile a lot when they play this game, they sort of do this little giggling, like hee when they play it, or they find an animal and try to interact with the animal, and it hides because it's shy, stuff like that. There's so much heart going into this game, and we've seen that looking at people playing the game from this summer and on, basically, at our studio as well, that basically no one who plays our game is not smiling. or doesn't leave, after their play sessions with a smile on their face and saying, wow, we get that kind of feeling all the time, which has to mean that we have something quite unique here.
Yep.
I'm sure it'll be good.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I've been hearing lots of buzz about it ever since you guys show up at these events like EGX and stuff. I hear everybody that plays that game, I hear them talking about it right after. So you guys definitely sound like you've got something special going on.
Yeah, I mean, we even won an award for a game in September, the Raindance Film Festival Best Immersive Game, which is it came out of nowhere for us, really. We actually beat No Man's Sky and Doctor Who, two pretty awesome VR games in the same category as us. And I went to London with zero hope to actually return back to Sweden with the trophy.
Nice.
But once we saw people playing the game at the Raindance Film Festival, and they were all amazed. And our game was the one that sold out their tickets to the general audience first, before any other game. It was like, what is this?
Yeah, right.
Almost like too good to be true. And slowly I went from 0 to maybe 2, 3, 4% hope to actually win. But my heart kept racing when I heard them, announcing the nominations and eventually us as the winner. Thanks.
That's great.
It meant a lot to James and the team behind this game. They really put their heart and soul.
All right, so Andreas, what is next for Fast Travel Games? Like everyone wants to know.
Yeah, so after The Curious Tale, which is out on November 12th, of course, we actually have another game release this side of Christmas, which is crazy to think. Yeah, I mean, it's not
so
yet for... It's not yet for PlayStation VR though, but we're co-developing Budget Cuts 2 with Neat Corporation, who made the first Budget Cuts. And I know the first Budget Cuts is on its way to PSVR, and we have hopes to bring the sequel to PSVR as well. But for PC, it's coming out on December 12. So November 14 for Curious Tale, December 12 for Budget Cuts 2. So we basically have quite some work to do before Santa jumps down the chimney. But it's amazing. A Neat Corporation has been a blast to work with. We used to know each other from before as well. We shared offices in Stockholm when VR was new. Then we split apart, and now we're doing the sequel to one of the bigger games, PSVR, which is pretty cool. But after that, we haven't really said anything officially of what we're doing. But we know what we will be doing, and it's something that makes me drool inside. And I wish I could talk about it here, but I can't. But safe to say that 2020 there will be some pretty cool things coming out from Fast Travel VR. I said maybe in plural. I should say at least one pretty cool thing. Hopefully come out in 2020, or who knows? But at least we'll talk about it in 2020. So you will hear more about that project pretty soon, I'd say.
Yeah, well, can't wait. It's exciting.
Yeah.
Is it hot in here?
The thing is, what I can say is that we have Apex Construct already. We made that was our debut title. Now we have The Curious Tale, and then we have Buddy Cuts 2, and making these three very different games has given us so much expertise and insights as to what to do, what not to do, what to focus on, how to really, really make a VR game that has quality throughout. And that's something we are looking to do for 2020, to get all of these great things that we've done. I'm not saying that Apex Construct was perfect. It wasn't. But we learned so much by doing it. And just compiling all of these things into a new project. That's what we're going to do. And but more about that in 2020. Yeah, we're still doing VR exclusive. I mean, that's our thing. We really believe that to become one of the world's leading studios, if not the world's leading studios, as a modest, mission for ourselves, you have to stay focused on VR. I know that there are some, quick money to get from the flat screen gaming industry. But it's not for us. We're focusing 100% on making the best VR games, exclusive VR games. So that's what we're going to keep 2020 as well. That's how I think we'll eventually be there among the top in the world when VR, who knows, become, for lack of better words, mainstream and more accessible. When PSVR 2 comes out, who knows? We will be there in the future as well, and make sure that we have all the expertise and knowledge to make the best kind of VR game available. That's our very modest goal.
Well, thank you, Andreas, for joining us. If do you have anything else you want to add before we wrap it up?
I'd like to mention just two things, really. First, thank you for having me and for creating this amazing Curious Tale world. I can't wait to show the studio team what you made here. It's something truly, truly spectacular, and it means a lot to us as well as developers to see this kind of support. Because honestly, I know it might sound like a cliche, but we really are all in this industry together at the moment.
Exactly.
The platform manufacturers, the games developers, the VR communities, the content creators, we're all making this industry flourish and bring it to the level it needs to be. So what you've done here tonight with the PSVR show and the world you're creating, I think it's integral for the industry to grow to where it needs to be. So hats off to all of you guys, and thanks for having me as a guest. It's been a blast.
Our pleasure.
Thank you for coming. Yeah.
And stay tuned for Curious Tale on November 14 on PlayStation Store, of course. $14.99, $11.99 Great British pound as well. I want to mention that as well, that this is a passion project from a small team inside Fast Travel Games. James Hunt, our senior animator, is a creative genius, and he's putting his heart and soul into this, as is his team, this very small team. So hopefully by November 14 we can start seeing the Curious Tale grow into something more as well, and hopefully we can add to this franchise and the game, because I do think it's such a unique experience that it deserves a future. So yeah, can't wait to see you guys play it, and anyone else who has a PSVR headset back home in less than 2 weeks.
Yeah, my smile's just growing because it's so close. So excited to get it.
It is.
Yeah. It's so anticipated. So where can people follow you or follow Fast Travel Games? Do you have social media of any kind?
We do. We're quite active. It's quite easy as well. It's at Fast Travel Games on either Twitter, Facebook, or Instagram. And I tend to be quite active myself on the different VR community groups on Facebook and on the subreddits of the VR world as well. So you can probably find me there.
All right, well, that wraps it up for our PSVR chat show. Thank you to everyone watching, and thank you to all of our lovely guests out there. And one more big thank you to Andreas and the team behind the Curious Tale of the Stolen Pets in Fast Travel Games. The round of applause, guys. So we'll see you next time. Make sure to stay tuned. We'll have more content. And have a good day. Bye.
Bye.
Yes, guys.
Bye.